Manuel Peno has boycotted the burial and reburial ceremony of former Liberian President Samuel K. Doe and First Lady Nancy Doe, citing internal disagreements with the Doe family. The controversy stems from conflicting views among family members, including Senator Peno and Veronica Mami Doe, of the late president. Meanwhile, tensions reportedly escalated in the days leading up to the burial, with heated exchanges between Mamido and the senator over the final resting place of the former president and his wife. Senator Peno, seeking to honor the traditional customs of Granjida County, people proposed that the couple be buried in Tucson, President Doe's native hometown. However, the suggestion was opposed by Mami Doe, who insisted that her parents be laid to rest at the late President Doe's residence in Suechu. This disagreement has sparked public debate and raised concerns about the impact of the family's ongoing conflict on the legacy of the former president and his wife. The United States government is requesting Liberia and 50 other countries to accept deportees, including criminals who are not their own citizens. Among countries proposed by Donald Trump government are Angola, Mongolia, and Ukraine, which is currently under invasion by Russia, along with key U.S. allies such as Ghana, Nigeria, Egypt, Djibouti, and the war-torn Democratic Republic of Congo, in addition to Liberia. According to U.S. media, the effort is part of a broader push by President Trump's administration to persuade foreign governments to take in third-party nationals being deported from the United States. American officials are said to be appealing to countries around the globe, including some with histories of conflict or human rights concerns. The move is part of President Trump's 2024 election campaign, vowed to conduct the largest domestic deportation operation in American history, with plans that include mass deportation of millions of undocumented immigrants. However, 7 countries, including Rwanda, El Salvador, Costa Rica, Guatemala, Kosovo, Mexico, and Panama, have accepted the offer, with Kosovo agreeing to take in up to 50 deportees, while Costa Rica is already holding dozens. Meanwhile, it remains unclear whether the Liberian government will accept or reject the U.S. government proposal, as dozens of Liberians say the country's struggling economy is unable to provide services for its own citizens, much to talk about absorbing more. Former Minister of Foreign Affairs D. Maxwell Sakimiya and 3 other former officials of the Weah-led administration risk rearrest and incarceration, failure to file valid criminal appearance bonds with criminal court C, presided over by Judge Blamor Dixon, within 7 days. Kimiyam, along with Thelma Duncan Sawyer, former Deputy Minister for Foreign Affairs and Administration, Mary Brough, former Director General of the General Services Agency, Harold Williams, former Executive Director, National Disaster Management Agency, and Ashiviko Doe, former Communications Director at the National Disaster Management Agency, were arrested and incarcerated at the Monrovia Central Prison on Thursday following indictments by the government of Liberia for alleged economic sabotage, but later released on human sureties. The charges were brought against the former officials of the Weah-led government by the Asset Recovery and Property Retrieval Task Force. A release issued by the Asset Recovery team named several other former top officials of government, including Mami Davis, Assistant Director, GSA, Momolu Johnson, Deputy Minister for Administration, Ministry of Internal Affairs, Rosetta Basit Boa, Logistic Officer, National Disaster Management Authority, Wafa Siafa, purported CEO, Group of 77, and Evelyn B. Warehouse Manager, GSA, among others, as present to be arrested in connection to the mismanagement of the 25,000 bags of rice. Under President Joseph Walker's United Party-led government, several former officials of the government have been indicted on allegations of corruption, including former Finance and Development Planning Minister Sam Atue, who and others are accused of embezzling over $6 million United States dollars and billions of Liberian dollars. Ambassador Kimi and others are facing allegations of mismanaging over 25,000 bags of rice donated by the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia to the Liberian government for disaster victims. Earlier on Friday, serious tension broke out in Granjida County as former notorious warlord turned preacher Joshua Milton Bly, popularly known as General Botneke, issued a public threat to Representative Yeke Koluba for parading with huge motorcyclists in the streets of Zuechu. The former fierce warlord who now supports the Boakai Kun administration expressed strong objections to Representative Koluba's activities, noting that the huge turnout of cyclists pose severe threat to the presence of President Joseph Boakai in the county. He then warned Representative Koluba to relocate his parade with motorcyclists from the immediate vicinity of the president, or he and his supporters will have been compelled to take action that will counter the parade. However, in defiant response, Representative Yeke Koluba dismissed Bladi's threat, challenging him directly and making it clear that he will not be intimidated. Koluba stated that he sees no threat in his presence in the county and rejected any claims that he poses a danger to the presidency. The standoff between Representative Koluba and Joshua Blai has sparked public concern, especially with President Joseph Boakai currently in the county for the state of the late former President Samuel Kedo and former First Lady Nancy Doe in Grangide County. Meanwhile, the United Methodist Human Rights Monitor in Liberia has condemned threatening statements made by former notorious warlord Joshua Blai, popularly known as General Buck Neke, against Montserrat County District and Representative Yeke Koluba. The warlord turned pastor and supporter of President Boakai in an interview earlier Friday issued a public threat to Representative Yeke Koluba for parading in the streets of Zoechu with huge motorcyclists ahead of the reburial and reburial ceremony of former President Samuel K. Doe and former First Lady Nancy Doe. However, the statement issued by the United Methodist Human Rights Monitor of Liberia termed General Bodnake's statement as a rhetoric that has the propensity to undermine the fragile peace of the country. According to the statement, the action of former notorious warlord has a story of killing dozens of Liberians and others also foster an environment of fear and intimidation among Liberian citizens, noting that it is unacceptable and must be condemned by all Liberians. The group further that Joshua Blai is not the head of Liberia's national security and has no official authority to issue such threats to engage in wartime tactics that threaten national stability, thus urging the legislature to summon him for questioning. The Human Rights Monitor at the same time called on all stakeholders, including government officials, civil society organizations, and citizens, to stand united in condemning such threats and to reform or to reaffirm their commitment to peace, human rights, and the rule of law. The Movement for Economic Empowerment has sharply condemned what it described as illegal and arbitrary arrest and incarceration of its political leader D. Maxwell Kimian and others on allegation of mismanagement of Saudi Arabian government-donated rights. MOVE, in a press statement Thursday, called for free, fair, transparent, and speedy trial into the allegations, adding that it is scaring to have seen police officers at 3 o'clock a.m. besiege the residence of Ambassador Kimian in panicking manner just to effect an arrest. According to the statement, the government's action is a bold act of political witch hunt executed through frivolous charges and baseless allegations as a glaring attack on the democracy. MOVE further rejected the charges levied against Ambassador Kimian, which include mismanagement of diversion of 29,412 bags of 25 kg rice donated by the Saudi Arabian government to Liberia, terming it false and misleading. They accused the UP government of attempting to calm down on opposition leaders and politicians in the country, stating that genuine fight against corruption is not a charade, but that's not for the government to use those who disagreed with it as cover-ups. The Movement for Economic Empowerment said it aware that the UP government has embarked on an agenda of using unproven allegations of corruption against opposition figures, further resisting it calls President Boakai's attempt to lead Liberia with tyranny and dictatorship. The founder of the Blue Zone Liberia's Longevity Research Program has outlined key programs to be undertaken by his organization, which are intended to capture 80, 90, and 100 years and above individuals. Bake Rabas said research have shown five blue zones around the world, leaving out Africa, adding that the blue zone research had discovered several persons living beyond 100 years and above in Liberia. According to him, there are several factors that his organization can prove that lead to people living for several number of years, including genetic, cultural, and environmental factors. He however pointed out and outlined challenges being experienced in running the organization, noting that the means of transportation and feeding are a major challenge posed to achieving his goals or the goals of the organization. Baki Rabas is therefore calling on well-meaning Liberians, central government, and non-governmental organizations to help with financial support in reaching out to other counties across Liberia. He made the appeal Friday in an interview with Kings FM. And the Center for Agricultural Research Institute has officially launched a short-term strategic plan focused on commercializing its agricultural products across Liberia market. The plan marks a significant step towards strengthening Liberia's agricultural sector and promoting homegrown food solutions. Speaking during a press conference Thursday in Monrovia, CARI's Director General Dr. Arthur Kanwa said the initiative aims to increase the visibility and value of locally produced goods and emphasized that the strategy is also designed to reduce the country's dependence on imported food items and protect the institution from operational challenges that have limited the institute's effect to play a more central role in driving agricultural productivity and food security nationwide.
The news bulletin with Newton Topper is a regular feature on King's Newsroom. A reminder you listen to King's Newsroom 45 minutes news about Liberia, Africa, and our one world. Stories we follow tonight. Government of Liberia and Doe family finally concludes state burial of ex-President Samuel Doe and burial of former First Lady Nancy Doe in Zweju. But Green Jide County Senator and head of the Does Manazo Penon boycott the burial ceremony amid family disagreement over burial site. U.S. government calls on Liberia and 50 other countries to accept non-citizen deportees, including criminals, as Liberian authority yet to publicly accept or reject. Over alleged mismanagement of the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia, 29,000 donated bags of rice, criminal code C, issued 7-day ultimatum on former Foreign Minister D. Maxwell Kimia, Marabro, and others to fight valid criminal bonds, outbreaks, rearrest, and incarceration. Away from home, South Africa's Criminal Intelligence Chief Lieutenant General Dumisani Kwamola has been arrested and has appeared in court on allegations of fraud and corruption. At least 18 Palestinians have been killed after an Israeli drone strike targeted the Hamas police unit attempting to assert control over a market in the city. A doctor and eyewitnesses told the BBC. Take a break to be back with voices of the newsmakers. Welcome back and thanks for being there. The government of Liberia and the Doe family have finally concluded the state burial of ex-President Samuel K. Doe and burial of former First Lady Nancy Doe in Zweju, Grand Jide County. Samuel Kaya Doe, who served as Liberia's 21st president, was captured, tortured, and assassinated on September 9, 1990 by Prince Y. Johnson INPFL rebel group in Monrovia, while his widow, former First Lady Nancy Doe, died on May 21, 2025, following a brief illness. Speaking Friday at the funeral service in Zwerju, President Joseph Boakai described the reburial of ex-President Doe as a significant step toward national healing and reconciliation, which he said will help the country move beyond its troubled past.
This remarriage with far beyond the civil lives, the broader effort to reconcile with our past and the good of the nation. The civil conflict that followed the struggle inflicted these, but through God's grace, will enjoy peace for the rest of the veterans. And today, even when we symbolic this, will be a chapter turn, marked by recognizing the power, the peace, the right and joy for justice, unity, and truth. This dignified leader reflected on national maturity and collective wisdom to lead our homes. It restores economic policy to remove the lingering shadows of conflict and to foster reconciliation of our groups. As I see in the analysis regulation, reconciliation and healing are central to our development. We cannot build a purpose and accomplish or future into unity on something as past truth, forgiveness, and shared living purpose. Critical from the urge to remain continue to lead by example. Let your legacy be one of strength, dignity, and national unity.
Meanwhile, following several internal conflicts that have erupted within the Doe family after the death of former First Lady Nancy Doe, President Joseph Boakai urged the family to stand united, lead by example, and preserve the legacy of the late President and former First Lady in a way that honors their contribution to the nation. Meanwhile, Grand Jida County Senator and a member of the Doe family, Zoe Emmanuel Peno, has boycotted the burial and reburial ceremony of former Liberian President Samuel K. Doe and First Lady Nancy Doe, citing internal disagreements within the Doe family. The controversy stems from conflicting views among family members, including Senator Penon and Veronica Mamido, daughter of the late president. Earlier on Friday, serious tension broke out in Grand Jida County as former notorious warlord turned preacher Joshua Milton Bly, popularly known as General Bob Nicky, issued a public threat on Representative Yeke Koluba for parading with huge motorcyclists in the streets of Zweju. The former Fiat warlord, who now supports the Bwaka government, expressed strong objections to Representative Koluba's activities, noting that the huge turnout of cyclists pose severe threat to the presence of the president in the county.
Nobody will hold me. Anything you want to say about me, you will say about me. You can call about the step here today. Nobody will hold me. The army will not hold me. The police will not hold me. Nobody will hold me. And most of you that were calling me, you saw I caught on my phone, right? As right after the life, I caught it on my phone again. I'm still parading. The program will go peacefully and it will pass. You can call about the step different time. When he in Montreal, he cussing. I can't talk to him. Because when he was cursing the last time, I didn't stop him from cursing. I don't have the moral strength to stand from, you gotta say, oh, don't call Mr. Bwaka and what have you. I will be hypocritical. I will be definitely hypocritical because when he was cursing the last time, I didn't go to advise him, even though he and myself close through his wife. But I did not stop him. So I can't stop him now. I can't go to his old reggae, slow down your cursing. That's not my style. Anybody who know me know I'm not a hypocrite. And you know I don't give vain threats if you know me. So you who know Yeke, you love him, you tell him that he's disturbing, he's causing. Thank God the county leadership, security-wise, have responded, and they are every junction now, and his convoy is hiding. I got my intel that he waiting for the program to be going on for him to rush there. Myself too, I came to the program. I just came to make sure that the old man and his wife get a better burial. So I around the town. I want to see him going to the step there. I want to see him go to the truth here is the only difference between he and myself, he choose the side of politics and I choose the clerical side. I choose ministry. But the both of us were equally rebels from different sides. So he honorable man now. I'm also an honorable man in my own respect as an evangelist. The same craziness that stay here to fight is still my head before I fought before too. And the same way he can say we should go to the head is the same way. He must say almost the same history. We don't run away from our actions. So I like him. You don't run away from his action. The same way I'm not willing to run away from my action.
However, in your defiant response, Maserado District 10 Representative Yeke Koluba dismissed Blaze's threats, challenging him directly and making it clear that he would not be intimidated. Koluba stated that he sees no threat in his presence in the county and rejected any claims that he poses a danger to the presidency.
You think you can make me scared? You forward. As I'm making out forward. And fighting one people talk one we heard it. So you kill people, you are not wrong for killing them. They don't want to see you fall or kill you. I have not discussed you. Don't you see what I bring the problem, right? I don't discuss people, they don't want to start with me. When I start, they don't say you get a problem. I can't ever come on again. And we right enjoying ourselves. We come and go back to my mirror here to go enjoy ourselves, right? I come on again, and here one calling money, one again waiting for you come. Come, I beg you. Don't waste time. Don't let me leave for you before you do that, man. I don't get here like in Nima Kade. When I see you was slapping, I spent 1 week in Nima running cafe. I spent 1 week in Nima going from play to play. But when he knew that I let you think one naked, I respect as my in-law. But you want to take advantage of it, it will not be alright. Because I'm supposed to be here. This is a country. There's nothing in the constitution that bans me from going to any country of this country. Then I challenge you, one naked. If the thing they put talking at two, please come. I don't never come later. Please come, waiting for you. When you hear me and my man going back to my Mary Hill, how can they play? Come. Hey, you want to call my phone? I want to see you. I beg you, please make it quick. If I'm not leaving Grand Gila tomorrow, I show the people of this country. I want to leave Grand Gila today to go to Rewaji and go to Maryland. But I will be in Grand Gila until tomorrow. Because of what they said, I don't know. I don't want to believe it. But I want to give him more time. I don't want to be and I say, oh, but the man get all the man run away. Born again. They think they put up, but you're not believing it, yeah? But because of what they put said, I will leave tomorrow. I will sleep here again and leave Grand Gila tomorrow. What's wrong with you? You want something paper and boss it?
Maserado County Representative Yeke Kolba there responding to earlier threats made against him by former notorious warlord turned preacher Joshua Milton Bly, popularly known as General Bot Neki. Meanwhile, the United Methodist Human Rights Monitor of Liberia has condemned threatening statements made by former notorious warlord Joshua Bly, popularly known as Bot Neki, against Maserado County District 10 Representative Yeke Koluba. In a statement, the United Methodist Human Rights Monitor of Liberia termed General Bob Neki's statement as a rhetoric that has the propensity to undermine the fragile peace of Liberia. Former Foreign Minister D. Maxwell Kimia and 3 other former officials of the Wialea government risk rearrest and incarceration, failure to fight a valid criminal appearance bond, with criminal court presided over by Judge Blamo Dixon within 7 days. Kimia, along with Chairman Duncan Sawyer, former Deputy Minister for Foreign Affairs, Mary Brough, former Director General of the General Services Agency, Henry Williams, former Executive Director, National Disaster Management Agency, and Ajib Godot, former Communications Director at the National Disaster Management Agency, were arrested and incarcerated at the Monrovia Central Prison on Thursday, following indictments by the government of Liberia for alleged economic sabotage, but later released on human sureties. The charges were brought against the former officials of the Wialea government by the Asset Recovery and Property Retrieval Team. A release issued by the Asset Recovery Team named several other former several other individuals, including Mami Davis, Assistant Director, GSA, Mormon Johnson, Deputy Director for Administration, Ministry of Internal Affairs, Rosetta BC Boa, Logistic Officer, and DMA. Here's a highlight of Ambassador Maxwell Kimia during ceremonies marking The turnover of the donated rice by the delegation of the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia in 2023.
Is to say, oh, Minister Kimaya, yeah, you made an arrangement, so this is now one grain, not to me, not to any official. The only people that are to benefit from this rice are the Liberian people that fall in the category that need disaster relief, respect to. And then, as was indicated, honorable, other extreme vulnerable people, they are the ones, and I can tell you we will do that. Because this is for me a pilot. Okay. I am championing and will continue to champion, not just for Saudi Arabia, but as I move around as foreign minister, knocking doors to see how we can solicit more support from even, the King Salman Center to attract more relief supplies for this agency, as it is. I'm not going to relent in terms of doing that. And the only way we make sure that the corridor is open for me, that I will use, is for transparency and accountability, reports and all being as it is. But I'm confident this is just the beginning, and I'm going to bother you people more to get more support for this agency. Not just rights, even other items. Yes, I will be sitting with them upon my return. I have a trip next week to Europe. Upon my return, I will sit with he and his entire management team, and then the board of directors. So they give me a better idea as to what kinds of things that are needed, for the agency in this work that will benefit, the people.
Meanwhile, following their release from the Moravia Central Prison on Thursday, the former foreign minister and political leader of MOVE pledged to comply with the code to exonerate himself from the allegation.
Who were out there, inclusive of our leader, His Excellency Dr. George Manawiya, for the relentless effort in ensuring that we were released on this day, as it is, as a law-abiding citizen, as one of the political leaders in our country. So, adherence to the rule of law is key for us. So there is no way that we can be advocating for adhering to the rule of law, and then we do away or run away from process that has to do, or processes that have to do with the rule of law. We don't have a problem for facing justice. We just call for impartiality as it is, and that whatever that happens in respect to the law.
Former foreign minister and political leader of MOVE, Ambassador D. Maxwell Kimia, there speaking. A reminder, you listen to King's Newsroom, 45 minutes news about Liberia, Africa, and our own world. Stories we following tonight: government of Liberia and Dole family finally concludes to the area of ex-President Samuel Doe and the area of former First Lady Nancy Doe in surgery. A Grand Julia County Senator and head of the Doe's Emmanuel Peno boycott the burial ceremony. His family disagreements over burial site. The U.S. government calls on Liberia and 50 other countries to accept non-citizen deportees, including criminals as Liberian authorities yet to publicly accept for jail. Over alleged mismanagement of the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia, 29,000 donated American rights. Criminal Court A issues 7-day ultimatum on former Foreign Minister D. Maxwell Kimia, Morogoro in August to provide valid criminal appearance bonds, upgrades, rearrest, and incarceration. Away from home, South Africa's Criminal Intelligence Chief Lieutenant Domisini Guamalu has been arrested and has appeared in court on allegations of fraud and corruption. At least 18 Palestinians have been killed after an Israeli drone strike targeted a Hamas police unit attempting to assert control for a market in the city. The doctor and eyewitnesses told the BBC. We'll take a break to continue with more voices, including our foreign news. Welcome back and thanks for being there. The founder of the Blue Zone Liberia's Longevity Research Program has outlined key programs to be undertaken by its organization, which are intended to capture 80, 90, and 100 years and above individuals. Bakai Roberts said research have shown 5 blue zones around the world, leaving out Africa, adding that the blue zone research has discovered several persons living beyond 100 years and above in Liberia.
This research program is established for those who are 80, 90, and 100 years old, which are the octogenarians who are 80 years, nonagenarians who are 90 years, and centenarians who are 100 years and above. This program is actually intended to make Liberia a blue zone country or Africa a blue zone continent. Around the world, there are 5 blue zones. And these 5 blue zones, research was conducted by the longevity researchers around the world. And when they did the research, they only came up with 5 blue zones and they left out Africa. So when I got to find out, then I decided to conduct the same program, the same research program in Liberia. So I asked for permit. In fact, the whole thing started when I discovered a lady who was 153 years old. How I got to get her was through her granddaughter. But I decided to conduct a research program for Blue Zone Liberia because the United Nations have said that people that are living in developing countries don't live long. Yeah, so that's the information they have around the world. So I said, no, it can't be. People that are living in developed countries don't live long, but people that are in developing countries can live long. So I decided to prove it to United Nations that this is not true. So that's how I went in a field, started looking for these people who are 80, 90, and 100 years old. Fortunately for me, I came across this lady who was 153 years old, and I published her in the newspaper, in Observer, Daily Observer, and Inquirer newspaper at the time. I became a columnist with the Inquirer newspaper at the time the late Wissel was alive. So when I did this article, I put the latest picture in the paper. Ellen saw it. At that time, she was the president. When she saw it, she asked the chief of protocol to call me because I had my number in the paper. So that's how they called me. I went, and the protocol said, "Oh, you published an article. The president is interested in it, so she wants you to bring the lady so she can honor the lady."
He's Bakai Roberts, founder of the Blue Zone Liberia's Longevity Research Program. The Center for Agriculture Research Institute has officially launched a short-term strategic plan focused on commercializing its agricultural products across the Liberian market. The plan marks a significant step towards strengthening Liberia's agricultural sector and promoting homegrown food solutions. Speaking during a press conference Thursday, Kyrie's Director General, Dr. Arthur Kanwa, said the initiative aims to increase the visibility and the value of locally produced goods.
We have strengthened research programs by ensuring that the different programs in unit are up and running. Carry rice breeders, headed by Dr. Dolo, are continuing the screening and feed trials of 20 capacity rice seeds from Kenya. Those potential varieties selected from the first trials are now undergoing the second feed trials. The team is also evaluating these materials for the level of tolerance for iron toxicity in the hotspot. Those to be selected after the second trials will now undergo multi-location trials, and the best varieties in terms of yield and adaptability will be selected for release to our Liberian farmers by next year. We also doing a characterization of gene plasm, which is the rice. From Egypt and Mali, along with developed lines from Caribbean and Africa rice, we are screening these varieties for their yield and trait. Currently, we have another rice research, which is called the LR 5004 for enhancing rice productivity using induced mutation and speed breeding for food self-sufficiency and income generation. This work is going on now, and it is in its second phase. The research has been funded by the International Atomic Energy Agency, referred to as IAEA, using mutation, induction, and associated breeding technologies.
Center for Agricultural Research Institute Director General Dr. Arthur Kanwa. The High Command of the Armed Forces of Liberia has disassociated itself from social media information, which is requesting people who wished to be enlisted into the active service of the Liberian Army to deposit money into its account. According to the AFL High Command, in recent times, it has observed that some unscrupulous individuals have created a Facebook page purporting to be an updated page of the National Army as means of scheming and soliciting funds from individuals wishing to join the Liberian Army. Speaking in an interview with defense correspondents in Monrovia Thursday, AFL Chief of Public Affairs, Lieutenant Colonel Robert Stephen Tapler, said the Facebook page is fake and warned the public against sending money to anyone using such page.
In recent time, we observed that some individuals have fraudulently created a Facebook page, naming it Armed Forces of Liberia official Facebook page. And we ourselves are following this page. We are doing everything possible to track these guys down, but we haven't yet. However, because some of the things we see on that platform are disturbing. Like, for instance, these guys are claiming to be the official page of the Armed Forces of Liberia. And they are also asking Liberians who are desirous of joining or enlisting in the AFL to contact them. They are asking these people for money, which completely contradicts the professionalism, the mandate of the Armed Forces of Liberia. So we've decided to come and let the public know that our page remains unchanged. We continue to use our official Armed Forces of Liberia page. If you get to our page, the first thing you're going to see is the Armed Forces of Liberia badge, which carries red, white, and blue. This badge represents the three branches of the Army. The Army part of the badge is there. Then you will see that the Liberia Coast Guard is there. And also, you will see the badge for the Air Wing.
AFL Chief of Public Affairs, Lieutenant Colonel Stephen Tapler. Away from home, South Africa's Criminal Intelligence Chief, Lieutenant General Dumisani Kwamalo, has been arrested and has appeared in court on allegations of fraud and corruption. General Kwamalo has picked up or was picked up on Thursday evening after landing at the main international airport in Johannesburg by members of anti-corruption unit, local media reported. He made his court appearance in the capital, Pretoria, on Friday alongside six co-accused Australian police officers. And at least 18 Palestinians have been killed after an Israeli airstrike or drone strike targeted a Hamas police unit attempting to assert control over a market in the city. A doctor and eyewitness told the BBC. Eyewitnesses said Israeli drones fire at members of a Hamas police force dressed in civilian clothing and wearing masks were confronting vendors they accused of price gouging and selling goods looted in 8 trucks. The Hamas-run military Ministry of Interior condemned the strike, accusing Israel of committing a new crime against the police unit tasked with maintaining public order. Well, on that note, that's how we'll come to the near end of this edition of King's Newsroom. But before we leave, a quick reminder of stories we follow in the headlines. Government of Liberia and Dole family finally concludes state reburial of ex-President Samuel Dole and burial of former First Lady Nancy Dole in surgery. But when Jide County Senator and head of the Doles, Emmanuel Zoe Penham, boycotted the burial ceremony amidst family disagreements over burial site. U.S. government calls on Liberia and 50 other countries to accept non-citizen deportees, including criminals, as Liberian authorities yet to publicly accept or reject. We also heard in the news over alleged mismanagement of the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia, from 9,000 donated beds of rights. Criminal could see issues 7-day ultimatum on former Foreign Minister D. Maxwell Guinea, Eric Roth, and others to fight violent criminal appearance bonds or reach rearrest and incarceration. Away from home, South Africa's criminal intelligence chief, Lieutenant Tony Sini Kwamalu, has been arrested and has appeared in court on allegations of fraud and corruption. At least 18 Palestinians have been killed after an Israeli drone strike targeted the Hamas police unit attempting to assert control over a market in the city. The doctor and eyewitnesses told the BBC. Many thanks to our reporters, correspondents, and all those who helped in making this edition of King's Newsroom Resources. Newton Tokba brought you the news bulletin. Sam Andrews, son of control and handled the technical aspect of this edition. On behalf of the team, I presented. Thanks for listening and watching. Have a pleasant weekend. I'm Shema Bill.